Good morning and welcome everyone to the July 22nd, 2021 California Board of Accountancy meeting. My name is Nancy Corrigan. I'm the president of the California Board of Accountancy, or CBA. Please be advised that the meeting is being conducted consistent with the provisions of Governor Gavin Newsom's Executive Order N-0821, signed on June 11th, 2021, which supersedes the previous Executive Order N-2020, dated March 17th, 2020. The only change from the previous order clarifies that the authority to conduct virtual meetings will expire on September 30th, 2021. You might notice today that those of us in the CBA office who meet the criteria and are comfortable doing so can be mask-free finally. So that's a step forward. We hope it continues along those lines. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Ms. Reed to take roll call and establish a quorum. Ms. Reed, when Ms. Reed calls your name, unmute your microphone and state your name. Please remember to mute your microphone once you have stated your name. Ms. Reed?
George Familet.
Present.
Mary Jiang.
Here.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines.
Present. Good morning.
Dan Jacobson.
Here.
Soshi Leon.
Present.
Luz Molina Lopez.
Present.
Ariel Pay.
Present.
Deirdre Robinson. Deirdre Robinson.
Sorry, good morning, present.
Michael Savoy.
I'm here.
Mark Silverman.
Here.
Yin Tu.
Here.
And Nancy Corrigan.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. For some opening remarks, I'd like to thank CBA staff and the solid team for their assistance in facilitating this virtual meeting, and of course, CBA staff's dedication to making this a successful meeting. The CBA's mission is to protect consumers by ensuring only qualified licensees practice public accountancy in accordance with established professional standards. This mission is derived from the statutory requirement that protection of the public shall be the highest priority for the California Board of Accountancy in exercising its licensing, regulatory, and disciplinary functions. Whenever the protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. At this time, the board will convene into petition hearings followed by closed session. After closed session concludes, the CBA will recess for the day and will reconvene at 9 a.m. on Friday, that's tomorrow, July 23rd, 2021, for the committee meetings followed by the public session meeting items. Thank you. Yes, Judge Bennett, we have some procedures that we'll read when we actually go into closed session. Moderator, would you facilitate going into closed session? Thank you.
This is the moderator. I would like some clarification. Did you want to go to closed session now?
I apologize. Actually, it is open session. It's after the petition hearings. We'll go into closed session. So beginning now, if we're ready, we have some procedures for the petition hearing process in this virtual setting for everyone present. And I want to thank Wilbert E. Bennett, our administrative law judge, for assisting us in facilitating this today. So I will take us through the procedures. Agenda item 1A through 1C are the petition hearings for Kevin Graham Beard, CPA 41061, and Beard and Associates, Inc., Certified Public Accountants, COR 3059. Stephen Krell, CPA 34692, and Daniel Robles, CPA 137781. Now, before we start each of these three matters, Ms. Reed, the CBA's Board Relations Analyst, will conduct a roll call to establish the CBA members present for the matter and to establish a quorum for each specific matter. After roll call is conducted, I will ask if any members need to recuse themselves from the matter. After a quorum has been established and any recusals occur, Judge Bennett will then take appearances and will, at the appropriate time, swear in the petitioner. Judge Bennett will allow the Deputy Attorney General to provide an overview of the petition before us and seek to enter into evidence the petition packet and any additional materials. Judge Bennett will then provide the petitioner the opportunity to provide an opening statement and present and enter into evidence any additional documents, after which Judge Bennett will allow for the Deputy Attorney General to examine the petitioner. The petitioner's counsel, if any, then shall be afforded the opportunity to examine the petitioner. After the examination, I will request that Judge Bennett ask Ms. Reed to perform a roll call of each CBA member to allow members to ask any questions they may have of the petitioner. If a member does not have a question, simply state no questions. After Ms. Reed is finished polling members for questions, I will ask if any members would like to ask a follow-up question. If so, members are asked to raise their hand and wait for me to call upon them before speaking. After the CBA members' examination of the petitioner, Judge Bennett shall provide the Deputy Attorney General and petitioner, including petitioner's counsel, if any, the opportunity to provide any closing statement or remarks. After the closing remarks are received, Judge Bennett shall close the record and move on to the next petitioner. Once all petition hearings have been concluded, the members will then meet in closed session to deliberate on all three petition hearings. One final reminder for all present: when you are asking a question, responding to a question, or making a comment, it is important to remember that a court reporter will be capturing a record of the petition hearing. Please be cognizant to not speak over another person and be close to the microphone on your computer or your telephone so you can be heard when you are speaking. If you are not speaking, please remember to mute your microphone to prevent unwanted microphone feedback. So I believe we are ready now for the first petition. And in starting that, I believe we are ready to go ahead and do a roll call. Ms. Reed?
George Familet,
Present.
Mary Jeong,
Present.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Present.
Dan Jacobson,
Here.
Soshi Leon,
Present.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Present.
Ariel Pay,
Present.
Deirdre Robinson,
Present.
Michael Savoy,
Present.
Mark Silverman,
Present.
Yin Tu,
Present.
and Nancy Corrigan.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. So before we start the Mr. Beard and Beard and Associates, I need to ask if any members need to recuse themselves from the matter. If so, please raise your hand. And I see no hands raised, so I believe, Judge Bennett, we're ready to commence.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Wilbert Bennett. I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I have been assigned to hear this matter. Before I do that, I would like to indicate that at this point, we are on the record in the matter of the petition for termination of probation of Kevin Briard. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2021-040760 and Board of Accountancy case number AC-2019-21. May I, before we proceed, there's a brief preamble that I need to make. And that is that, again, as the moderator indicated, because of the ongoing public health crisis, these proceedings will be conducted by video conference and telephone conference. And I want to make it clear, again, emphasize that when we're on the record, we need to refrain from talking over each other because the court reporter is trying to establish an accurate record for purposes of any review. And in order to do that, we all need to speak clearly and not refrain from interrupting each other or talking over each other. At this point, I would like to ask the court reporter to identify himself by name and his CSR number. Mr. Court Reporter? Is the court reporter there?
This is the moderator.
I apologize, Your Honor, I was muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just
That's
need to
okay.
put your name on the record
And I was
and your court
talking.
reporter number.
Yes, I'll say that all now. My name is Mark Patterson, and my California CSR number is 12432.
12432. Okay, thank
Correct.
you, Mr. Court Reporter. And I would please ask, I'd like to remind you at the end of this proceeding, at the end of each proceeding, if you would provide an estimate of the number of pages and the ending time of the hearing. And a request form would be made available to the parties in due course, should either of the parties request a hearing transcript. So when we conclude each matter today, if you would provide that information in terms of the estimated number of pages and the ending time of the hearing. And I would also ask you, Mr. Court Reporter, if you, during the course of the proceeding, need any clarification from any witness about the names or something like that, please do so, because it's very important that we make an accurate record of this matter. So at this point, I will proceed with a brief, a different kind of preamble at this point. I'd like to emphasize to the petitioner, who is, first of all, I would like to take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General.
Yes, good morning. This is Ted Durkar, Deputy Attorney General, appearing under the authority of Business and Professions Code Section 5115 and Government Code Section 11522 on behalf of the people of the state of California.
Thank you. And the petitioner is present. Mr. Briard, you're present, correct? Please identify yourself. Is the petitioner present? Oh, maybe he needs to unmute.
Okay. Your Honor, may we make a statement about the speed? Saying who you are before you speak, please. Identifying yourself.
Okay.
Somebody just said something. Yeah.
This is Kevin Briard. Am I unmuted?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent. It's hard to tell on my side.
Okay, I just wanted to identify yourself for the record. You are here and you're representing yourself, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, in this proceeding, since you're not represented by counsel, let me give you just a brief thumbnail sketch. In this proceeding, the board is concerned with hearing about any rehabilitation since your license was disciplined. Again, I think the moderator has indicated that the Deputy Attorney General will first present your petition packet and provide background and a case summary in this matter. And after that, you will have an opportunity to make your presentation. Remember, the board has had the benefit of reading the petition package, and you do not have to repeat anything in that package. You will be subject to questioning by both the board members and the Deputy Attorney General. After the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the near future. Now, do you have any questions at this point?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I would ask the Deputy Attorney General to proceed with the presentation of the petition package and case summary.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would first like to mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1 the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and petitioner have been provided with a copy of the same set of this exhibit. These documents total 143 pages, and they're sequentially stamped with a prefix of KB-PET and then the page number. This packet includes KB-PET 138, which is the notice of hearing for today. So with that said, I would ask that all those documents be admitted into evidence as Exhibit 1.
Thank you. Any objection, Mr. Byrd?
No.
Okay, thank you. The petition package will be admitted into evidence as Exhibit 1.
Your Honor, I'm prepared to provide a summary of the case.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Kevin Breard received his CPA certificate number 41061 in 1984. His license history is at PET 133 and 134 in your packet in Exhibit 1. In June 2019, his license was revoked it was revoked by the CPA, and the revocation was stayed pending 3 years of probation. Breard and Associates, Inc. received its CPA Corporation Certificate number 3059 in 1986. The firm's license history, is at pages 135 and 136 of Exhibit 1. The underlying discipline against Mr. Breard and the CPA Corporation arose from a disciplinary order against both of these petitioners by the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which I'll refer to as the PCAOB. The facts are summarized in Mr. Franzella's memo, which is at page 2 of Exhibit 1. The PCAOB found that the petitioners failed to comply with auditing standards and engagement quality review on 135 audit and attestation engagements from 2014 to 2016. Mr. Breard was the audit engagement partner for those audits. The petitioners consented to the entry of a final decision and order by the PCAOB that censured the corporation, revoked its PCAOB registration, and imposed a $75,000 penalty on the corporation. Mr. Breard was also censured and was prohibited from being associated with a public accounting firm that is registered with the PCAOB. The petitioners entered a stipulated settlement that was adopted by this board in April 2019. This board's order required reimbursement of $800 in investigation and prosecution costs, which they have paid. Mr. Breard has complied with all terms of probation, but the corporation has not because it has not maintained an active license status. At page 10 of your materials in Exhibit 1, Mr. Breard says that the corporation did not maintain an active license, and I quote, due to the PCAOB severe 5-year sanctions and $75,000 in fines, the firm went out of business and was forced to dissolve. The firm is a defunct corporation, unquote. And that's at pages 93 to 94 of your of Exhibit 1. Or rather, I'm sorry, that was at page 10 of Exhibit 1. Next, I want to point out that at pages 93 to 94 of Exhibit 1, there is documentation from the Secretary of State confirming that the corporation, Breard and Associates, Inc., is dissolved. Mr. Breard now has a newer accounting firm, Breard and Associates LLP, which received certificate number 8011 from CBA in December 2018. The license history for that LLP firm is at pages 142 to 143 of Exhibit 1. In his present petition, Mr. Breard explains at page 11 of Exhibit 1 why he believes that his petition should be granted. In sum, he says that he committed independence violations by being the engagement partner for audits and also performing the engagement quality reviews for those audits. He claims that he thought he could do that, but he and his firm stopped that practice in 2016 once he learned that it was taboo to do that. He says that rehabilitation occurred in 2016 through firm-wide training and education. On the same page, he describes what he intends to do if his petition is granted. He wants to pivot from running an accounting practice to being a part-time accounting instructor or a part-time CFO for business. He provided some letters recommending him for the teaching role. Mr. Breard states that he is concerned he will be passed over for a teaching or CFO position as long as he is on probation. And that concludes my summary of the petition, and I'm prepared to proceed with questions, Your Honor, once you're ready for that.
Thank you, Council Durkar. At this point, and I'm not sure if the board has any specific procedure on this. At this point, typically we would call the petitioner to make his presentation. And I assume that that is consistent with the protocol that this board has, that the petitioner would make his presentation and then open up for questioning. Is that correct, moderator?
This is counsel for the board. That is correct. And also, if petitioner prefers to wait until he presents his case in chief to do his summary, that would also be acceptable.
Right. At this point, I'm going to have the petitioner make his presentation, unless for some reason you want to do questioning before he makes his presentation. Normally, he would make his presentation, then open up for questioning. So that's how we'll proceed, unless this board has a different protocol.
That is acceptable, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Okay, Mr. Breard, at this point, before we proceed, even with your opening statement, we need to swear you in as a witness. So if you could please hold your right hand up wherever you are, and I'm going to give you an oath, and I'm going to say, all right, let's ready for your oath. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Breard. And since you are not represented by counsel, let me just indicate to you that this is your opportunity to present your case. You may testify on your own behalf. You are reminded that the board has benefit of having reviewed your petition package, so there is no need to repeat anything in that package. Before you proceed, I'm going to ask if you have any additional documents you would like to present, or any witnesses you would like to call to testify on your own behalf?
I do not.
Okay, now you have the option of making an opening statement if you wish, or you can proceed directly into your testimony.
I'd like to make a brief opening statement and then go right into what I'd like the CBA to hear today.
Okay, and remember you are under oath, so this will be construed as part of your testimony.
Understood.
Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Well, good morning, board. I'm appreciative of your time and consideration in this matter today. I know you're all very busy. Just the briefest of backgrounds. I started in accounting in 1979 as an accounts payable clerk, back when we had IBM Selectric typewriter 2s, which was the highest technology of the day. And I ended up being a CFO of a subsidiary of a publicly held company. And I did this all when I was in college. But I wanted to be a CPA, so I joined a very large local CPA firm with international ties, and I attained my CPA license in 1984. So I have been in accounting for over 40 years. I successfully built a national practice focusing on broker-dealers and securities. It became the 4th largest in the country with this niche practice. It grew because of my national seminars, staff retention, and the wonderful talents of the people around me. But PCAOB noted a mistake dealing with engagement quality review. I made a mistake. I accept that. The CBA action of a 3-year probation was a result of the PCAOB order. I like to say I self-reported timely to the CBA 10 days after the order was instigated, and I believe I had 30 days, so I became very open and transparent. I would like to first talk about my personal license and the request for a probation to be terminated. I will go through 5 points just so it's easy to follow me. The first point is I have complied with probation. I have complied with the probation terms. I've met all the requirements. I communicated with the CBA Enforcement Division, my enforcement analyst who I've been in contact with, that I have been compliant, and I'm sure part of the board's due diligence, and I believe you'll find that to be true. I've been compliant over 2 years of my 3-year probation. I have reimbursed the cost of $800. I have submitted written quarterly updates of my activities. I have reported 9 quarters. I only have 4 quarters left. I have personally appeared in July of 2019 to CBA board members. That obviously was before COVID. The board has asked me for a request of my work papers, which I complied timely with. I have taken the ethic classes that were required of me, 4 hours. I have taken my regulatory CPE hours that were required for my probation. I took 24 hours of audit CPE, and I have actively kept my CPA license, and I have complied with the PCAOB order. The second item, which I know is most important, which was raised earlier, is my rehabilitation. Like I said, I made a mistake and I accepted it. I have not repeated it, and I will never make that mistake again. It was commented that in September of 2016, we changed our engagement letters, all of our engagement letters, that I would never be listed as the engagement partner, therefore freeing me up to do the engagement quality control. Although I've been cited for 135 instances of violation, in that time period, we did over 400 audits. So I have probably at least 265 audits that we did correctly. So we did know how to do them correctly. I've been punished. I've learned. The PCA order affected me in about 12 to 14 states. California is my home state, so that is my concern today. My 2019 peer review came out with a pass, so they reviewed my broker-dealer audits during the time frame of peer review and found there to be no problems. The third point is I have letters of recommendation in the package. They're on petition 072 and petition 074. I'm not going to read those entire letters. I just like to pull out maybe 2 sentences from each of the recommendations. And the recommendations do have a pivot, do have a slant on them, and that I would like to become a teacher in the community colleges. On one of the letters, the letter by Scott Fields, the sentence I'd like to pull out is, he, Kevin Briard, is perhaps the best manager I've ever experienced because of his great sense of fairness, his positive nature, his compassionate understanding of the needs of his staff. And the other sentence from the same letter, he is well versed in a wide range of subjects, and I know from watching his sharp analysis of accounting and other financial issues that he has the acumen needed to be knowledgeable in any subject he may be teaching. And then the other sentence I like to pull from Andy Prentice is, Andy Prentice says, over the years, he, Kevin Briard, built his firm into one of the most successful firms in the nation, providing services to firms engaged in the security business. Accordingly, he became a recognized expert on the accounting and regulatory rules that apply to broker-dealers in security business. And the last 2 sentences I like to read, the phenomenal growth of his firm is a testament to the success of his ability to impart knowledge on a complex and technical nature to participants that are hearing it for the first time. Essentially, he has been serving as an instructor to his staff and clients for many years. The fourth point of the 5 points I'd like to make is that I do give back to the community, and I give back to the community in a variety of areas. I sit on various boards. One of the boards I sit on is a community credit union where I review financial statements and help guide the credit union through its affairs. There are monthly meetings, and I sit on 2 committees, which is the nomination committee and the compensation committee. I also sit on another board, which is the California State University of Northridge, known as CSUN, Alumni Association board members. Again, I sit on 2 committees there. I sit on the finance committee and the scholarship committee. The scholarship committee reviews applications. They are ranked for scholarships and recommend who should be awarded. I have been moved up to the status of mentoring the mentors, which is a program to enhance the quality of those who are reviewing scholarship applications. And my last give back to the community is for the last 4 to 5 years, I have participated in the Cal State Northridge Professor of the Day program. And I have spoken in front of classes and used Zoom to just talk about the profession. Why do I enjoy the profession? Why did I join the profession? And then also telling the students things that they never tell you in school, like timesheets. The importance of soft skills, and business biographies that I've enjoyed and have helped me in my career. I've read probably over 2 dozen, but I mentioned to the class the book Shoe Dog, which is the story of Nike and Phil Knight being the founder of Nike. And I don't know if the board realizes this, but Phil Knight was actually a CPA, and he used his skills to guide Nike into where they became. Also talked about books I've read, founders of Southwest Airlines, In-N-Out Burgers, which is always the kids' favorite, Patron Tequila, Dave Thomas's Wendy's, the list can go on and on. The idea is to motivate students and tell them a few jokes here and there. I'll save the board from that today, but I really do try to engage the students and try to put forth a very positive foot. And the last point of my 5 points is I'm really praying for a reset here. There's a cloud over my head, and it has affected my practice, and it's been an impairment. One of the days when I gave a professor of the day, one of the students saw there was a PCOV violation against me. And that was a little difficult to explain that I did make a mistake and I have reformed, but it was difficult. I've enjoyed teaching staff and I've enjoyed teaching my peers. I've enjoyed being an expert in the industry. I would like to go on to teaching in the community colleges. They require a master's degree, but there's an exception that a CPA certificate will qualify as a master's degree. And when I apply for my teaching jobs, I have to list the status of my CPA license. And unfortunately, I have to put down probation because I need to be transparent. And unfortunately, I haven't been called back to any of these jobs. And I'll be quite frank with you, I don't know if I would hire somebody who's on probation myself if I was in the role of a college or school. So that is the points I wanted to talk about regarding my personal license. And I just requesting an early termination after serving 2 years of my 3-year probation. I essentially have 11 months left. I don't know if I should stop here before I talk about the corporate license. I'll listen to how I should proceed.
I think probably more expeditious if you simply proceed.
That's fine. I'd be happy to. So,
okay.
Just the briefest of background how we got here with the my firm. Besides myself being involved with the CBA and the probation, the impetus again was the PCAOB order that was a sanction against me and the firm. I did close the practice for financial reasons. 80% of the firm's revenue was focused and centric on the broker-dealer industry, whether this be audits of them, accounting for them. I was a FINOP, F-I-N-O-P, which is a license to be a financial operations principal, where I prepared reports for the Security Exchange Commission. I was doing expert witnessing for clients in the area, and all this, I could not continue. It really was one of the hardest days in my professional career to terminate all my staff, and that was done in April of 2018. And I only mention that because the board's sanctions would start in June, the middle of June of 2026. Actually, they started in June of 2019. June of 2019, so a year later. So I had not been with the staff for over a year. The practice I had built for 30 years of hours of work was essentially toast. In July of 2019, I sold off all my assets. And the following year and a half, I cleaned up the firm's footprint that needed to be shrunk. I mean, the firm's footprint came down to really a little toe. I had to close the Oakland office, the Chicago office, the Seattle office, the New York office. And now in the Northridge office, I function in only about 20% of the space I initially had. So I now operate in about 600 square feet. Equipment leases had to be canceled, copier leases. It was a full-time job shutting down this business.
Sir, please slow down.
Sorry.
Please slow down. Thank you. Continue.
Yes, I'm sorry. I closed the practice for financial reasons. It wasn't to evade it wasn't to evade or be elusive. The firm Briard and Associates was out of business. The firm ended up dissolving in December of 2019. It was an oversight on my part, and it was not intentional to dissolve the corporation in violation of the probation rules. To comply with the CBA order, when my enforcement analyst says that I had violated probation, I tried to reverse the dissolvement of the corporation. But in California, with the Secretary of State, once you have a voluntary dissolution, you can't revive the corporation. And that took me over a month to figure out how those dots connected. So this is really a can of worms. I'm asking for relief. If you punish the firm any further, you're really punishing a defunct corporation. So I'm asking you to modify my sanctions or to dismiss this portion of my probation. I'd like you to please consider the circumstances in which I had to close down the firm. I'm asking for release. I'm asking to reduce or eliminate my terms and conditions and terminate my probation. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Anything further?
No.
Okay, at this point, I will turn it over to questioning by the Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Beard, could you tell us what training or personal growth you've gone through that makes you unlikely to violate the rules of the profession again?
Yes, that's easy. I went through some PCAOB training, and the most important thing that got me in trouble was having engagement letters listing me as engagement partner, and therefore I could not do the engagement quality control portion of the audit. Therefore, in September of 2016, none of the letters, engagement letters, listed me as engagement partner, therefore allowing me to do the EQR. And the EQR is really the last phase of the audit, is the last pair of eyes on the audit. And I definitely want to be in the position, because of my acumen and knowledge of the industry, to be in that position.
Mr. Beard, do you intend to seek reinstatement before the PCAOB?
I do intend to seek to be a member of the PCAOB. I have a 5-year probation with the PCAOB, but one of the most important things of the PCAOB negotiation was my right to reapply.
And when does your probation with the PCAOB end?
Yes, August of 2023.
Did Breard and Associates, Inc. pay any part of the PCAOB's $75,000 penalty?
They paid all of the PCAOB $75,000 penalty.
And maybe I didn't see it, but did you submit documentation of that to the board with your petition packet?
I did not. I did not. No, but it was paid.
All right. Your stipulated disciplinary order with the Nevada Board of Accountancy is at pages 103 to 110 of Exhibit 1. It provides that you will be on probation in Nevada through August 9th of 2023, concurrent with the PCAOB suspension and bar. Is Nevada's disciplinary order still in place?
Yes, that order is still in place, and I believe in the order, I would have to go back and look at it. It provides me, if I pay I have like a $7,000 fine that I could not pay all at once, that I am paying quarterly, that once I pay that fine, I would have a right to ask for the probation to terminate. I would have to go back, and I wouldn't want to spend the board's time with it, but I could go back and try to find those paragraphs, because I believe that was my understanding. I would like to also add that every state had a different way of handling this. So I believe that's what Nevada had for me.
The licensing history for the new entity, which is called Breard and Associates LLP, that's at let's see, I believe it's the final pages 142 and 143 of Exhibit 1. Are you the managing partner of that LLP entity?
Yes, I am.
And is that LLP a continuation of the accounting practice that you previously operated through Beard and Associates, Inc.?
Maybe 30% of the clientele is from the Briard and Associates, Inc. All the other ones are new. My practice is a little more focused on tax preparation and bookkeeping today.
All right, and I believe you said that the LLP is located at the same location as the corporation had been, but you have less office space now. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the Briard and Associates LLP, the new firm I'm in, the American Institute of CPAs, the AICPA, has viewed it as a successor firm, but I viewed it as a whole different firm. It's a whole different status. It has a whole different employment identification number. It has a different capital structure in terms of number of partners. So it wasn't filed as a successor firm, just to clarify something you had said earlier. It's a new entity with new business.
All right, and Mr. Breard, I just have one final question. It concerns your reference letters that are at pages 72 to 74 of Exhibit 1. They don't mention anything about the discipline that you incurred. Before you obtained these letters from Mr. Fields and Mr. Prentice in April, did you discuss with them the discipline that you received from the PCAOB and from the Board of Accountancy?
Absolutely. They went through it, they saw it, they lived it. Andy Prentice was a partner in Briard and Associates, Inc., so he knew of it. Scott Fields, who helps with the marketing and Briard and Associates, Inc., knew he could not do any more marketing for broker-dealers because we were out of business in that area due to the PCAOB. So both are well aware of the problems that Briard and Associates, Inc. had to deal with due to the PCAOB order.
Your Honor, those are all the questions that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Durkar. At this point, I will turn things over to for a roll call and possible question by board members.
George Famlet,
No questions?
Mary Jiang,
Yeah, I have one question. So you mentioned that you intend to pivot from accounting to teaching in the community college. Are you still planning to keep an active accounting firm, the LLP, still while you're looking for a teaching position?
Yes, I still would like to keep my foot both in the door of running an accounting practice and teaching. This practice I'm in right now is not that robust. So I should be able, and I'm only looking for a part-time position in the community colleges. So the answer is yes, I plan to keep Briard and Associates LLP open.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
No questions.
Dan Jacobson,
Sir, you said that something like that you inadvertently dissolved the corporation. I may be using the wrong verbiage, but what actions did you do that where you kind of accidentally dissolved the corporation?
Maybe I'm not using it in the correct sense. I when I dissolved the corporation, I inadvertently violated the probation rules, and that's what I meant. I wanted to dissolve the corporation, but I didn't realize dissolving the corporation was contrary to probation rules.
Thank you very much.
Luz Molina Lopez.
Yes, thank you. I do have a couple of questions. Mr. Briard, if you can help me understand, at the peak of your firm, before it was dissolved, how big was it? Meaning, how many employees did you have?
Yeah, I'm proud enough to tell you I had about 20 employees.
This is across the multiple offices you mentioned in Chicago and the other places?
Yes.
Okay. And so now your new corporation, which began, or I guess was licensed December 2018, can you help me understand how many employees you have?
I have one paraprofessional, I have one partner, and I have a part-time person.
So a handful.
Just a handful.
Okay. And my other question pertains to the list of licenses that you have across 12 to 14 states, I think you mentioned. Is it your plan to maintain these licenses?
Yes, I plan to maintain most of the licenses that have to do with my personal license. Anything to do with Briard and Associates, Inc., I'm letting go. In June, less than a month ago, in the state of Idaho, I went on an inactive status there. But the truth is, many of my licenses, like my New York license, took a long time to obtain, and I really don't want to lose my New York license.
Understood. You mentioned that is the case for your personal license. Is it the same situation for your new corporation license?
The new corporation is only active in the state of California. So, for instance, in the state of Nevada, I had a corporate license, which I have let go because the corporation is no longer around. And that's the same for Oregon and the same for Washington. So because Briard and Associates, Inc. is a defunct corporation, I'm not keeping that license open anywhere.
Mm-hmm. And the present license, the present corporation license, is for California. Do you plan to request licenses for your new company in other states?
No, I don't envision happening that on a corporate license level.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Ariel Pay.
No questions.
Deirdre Robinson.
No question.
Michael Savoy.
No questions.
Mark Silverman.
No questions.
Yen Tu.
No questions.
And Nancy Corrigan.
No questions. Right. So having taken, Ms. Reed took roll call and asked specifically for questions from members. Members, raise your hand if you have anything additional after hearing other questions and responses, and I will call upon you. Mr. Jacobson.
Sir, to be clear, the new entity that exists, that is a partnership. Is that correct? Rather than a corporation.
It is a limited liability partnership. Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from any of the members? Please raise your hand if you have a question. Seeing that there are none, Judge Bennett, I believe we're ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from the Deputy Attorney General?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and anything further you wish to say, Mr. Byrd?
No, I think
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Let me clarify my question. You will have the opportunity to make a closing statement, as will the Deputy Attorney General. Anything further that you wish to testify about in response to any of the questions that you heard?
no further clarifications.
Okay, at this point, moderator, I think we should ask for closing statements from the petitioner and from the Deputy Attorney General, unless there's anything further that the board has.
No, this is Nancy Corrigan. Judge Bennett, I believe we're ready to proceed as you're
Okay.
suggesting.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Corrigan. Mr. Byrd, the burden of proof is on you in this matter, so we'll give you the opportunity to go first.
Yes, I think I'd just like to make a minute recap here. I just want the board to consider my circumstances. I want the board to consider that I've met all my probations issues that I had to meet. I have rehabbed myself. I have some very strong letters of recommendations. I have given back to the community many times over, and I'm really looking for this cloud to be lifted from over my head. I think the dissolvement of Briard and Associates, Inc., if I had realized that was a problem, I would have kept it open and not had dissolved it. But it really was a shell company, and there was no need to keep it open. And often, well, I like to say it was very dark days, and it was very painful to keep that my baby open, and very hard to dismantle it. But I did. I'm hoping the board will, take pity on me and terminate my probation personally and reduce or eliminate the terms or conditions for the issue having to do with my corporation. Again, I'm thank you for your attentiveness. And then just politely and procedurally, now that I'm done, can I leave the meeting today?
Yes, there's no reason for you to remain. I mean, unless I don't think anyone would want you to stay around for the whole day.
Making sure I don't create any problems for myself.
Okay. At this point, I would ask Mr. Durkar if he has a closing statement to make.
Yes, briefly. In conclusion, I'd just like to point out a public protection concern here, which is that while Mr. Beard may have complied with probation himself, his practice did not, because it didn't maintain an active license. And in fact, he wound down that corporation. And then during the period of probation here, in December 2018, he created a new entity through which he is doing his accounting practice, the LLP. And so what that means is that without asking permission, that his accounting practice has not been under probationary supervision. And this is a significant concern here. While he's asking for relief from probation today, really his accounting practice has gone unmonitored because he's now doing it through a new entity that he formed during the period of probation. So that's a significant probation violation to be considered, but that's all I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Thank you. A response, Mr. Byrd?
Yes, I would like to respond to that. Quarterly, I report what Briard and Associates LLP is doing to the California Board of Enforcement, and in that I list what percentage of my practice is involved in tax and bookkeeping. So I have kept the board informed of what I have been involved with. I haven't, and as far as I'm concerned, if the board wants to monitor Briard and Associates LLP for another year and a half, I'm open to that and transparent to that. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Corrigan, anything further from any of the board?
Members, do you have any other questions or comments? Please raise your hand to be called upon for the record. And I do not see any raised hands, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we go off the record, I want to get an estimate from the court reporter regarding how many pages, estimated pages.
Your Honor, may we close out the record so the page numbers don't change between when you stop now and go off?
I understand. Why don't we do it this way? We'll go off the record and you can tell us off, well, let's put it this way. That concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The case is submitted and the record is closed. We're off the record in this matter and we'll proceed to the next petition. Thank you. Mr. Court Reporter, do you have an estimated number of pages?
And we're off the record.
Yes.
Let me see. I have approximately 45 pages.
Okay, and we concluded approximately.
I have an ending time of 10:17.
Okay, thank you very much. Are we ready to proceed with the next petition?
Your Honor, while we're off
Yes.
the record, may I open a new file for the next petition, please? The next person. It'll take approximately 2 minutes, a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, just one moment.
This is the moderator. I was going to suggest a 15-minute break here.
Okay.
And I will upload a slide with
Thank you.
the time. Thank you. And of course, if that's okay with you, Judge. And
Yes, that's fine. We'll resume in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Your Honor, this is
Yes.
the court reporter. Will we
Yes.
be doing Stephen Krell? Will this be Stephen Krell next?
I think so. I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Court reporter, are you still there?
I just unmuted. You hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, hi, who's
Normally,
this?
this is legal, CBA legal. Normally, I don't participate in the hearing, so I did not give you my name previously. But since I did provide some information on the record, I wanted to give you my name.
You're the CBA moderator?
No, not the moderator, attorney. I interrupted and clarified that yes, the licensee could provide his opening statement.
Okay, I think I designated you as speaker because I wasn't sure who you were.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you want me to clarify now or did you want to just leave it?
Oh, no. Well, I'll take your name, please. Yes.
Okay. It's Helen, Helen.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry?
Yes. That's court reporter no.
I'm sorry?
I said uh-huh, and that's a court reporter no, which is probably didn't need to be repeated. I apologize.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And the last name is G as in George, E-O, F like Frank, F like Frank, R-O-Y.
Geoffroy. How do you say it?
Joffrey,
Geoffroy?
but yeah. Joffrey?
Geoffrey. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like it sounds, so I decided to just spell it.
And you are the attorney for
For the board.
the board. Okay.
Mr. Dakar represents the Attorney General's office, which kind of also represents the board, but on the adversarial side. So I just legally represent the board in a more neutral position. Kind
Do you
of
have
like
the
a
spelling?
court clerk would.
Okay. Do you know the spelling of the Deputy Attorney General's name?
D as in David, R-C-A-R.
Wow. D-R-C-A-R.
Yes.
That's the last name?
I don't know, because you're on the phone, but if you scroll across, you could see all the proper spellings of the names.
Oh, you know what? I'm on both the phone and the Deanne Pierce. Caesar. Ted Dakar.
Yes. Yes.
Dakar. Ted Dakar. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Will you be speaking in any of the other hearings?
Again, it's not anticipated, and hopefully,
Okay,
since
you
it's all
never
the
know.
flow of this hearing, I wouldn't interrupt. But because he had asked for the moderator, and technically the moderator just handles the electronic portion of all of this, so
Yes.
that I jumped in on behalf of the board. So normally I don't speak at these; I just observe and then assist the board in closed session.
Great. Okay. Do you know the moderator's name? CBA moderator?
I do not.
I just thought,
Sadly,
don't
we
worry
only
about
call
it.
her CBA moderator.
Okay, that works for me. That's a designation.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Patterson?
Yes, hello.
Hi, this is Deputy Attorney General Ted Durkar. I don't know if
Durkar.
anybody pointed out to you yet that all of the board members have an A in front of their name when you look at the participant list in WebEx.
I saw the A's before the names and I wasn't sure what it meant, to be honest.
Yeah,
There's other names without them.
yeah, there are other names, and some of those persons are CBA staff, and they probably won't be speaking, but the A will help you to identify who are board members.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for saying that. Oh, may I get a phone number for you, please, in case I need a caption or any type of paperwork to go along with this to get a transfer request?
Yeah, sure. 619-738-9451.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I think I have what I need. Thank you for coming on the line.
I'm sympathetic to your plight. It's unusual court reporting with so many people and not being present. I think it's tough enough when court reporters are, at these board hearings. So I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you first. You don't know how hard I tried to get out of it yesterday.
That's funny.
The agency owner begged me and pleaded, and I said, okay.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for speaking at a nice, calm pace.
Yeah, I try. I've done a lot of depositions over the years, and I think I got trained between that and the court appearances where the court reporters will sometimes wave their hand furiously to try to get the counsel or the judge to slow down.
In deposition, they may throw something at you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wrap the table with a pen or something. Yeah.
You can't see me scowl if something happens here, so I keep it to myself.
Yeah, it's difficult. We don't have the usual cues in most court reporting settings that we would have.
Yeah. It would be nice if I could see the whole board just set up, but I can only see 6 people at a time, apparently.
There
Can't
is,
seem to get the board.
oh, there is a way to go to, if you click on layout, if you go to, let me see, is it, I think for me it works when I do full screen view.
I did that earlier. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I tried that earlier and it didn't seem to let me do it now. I have a full screen, but it didn't seem to show all the people. Now it shows you, Ted Dakar.
It may not show all of them, but you get more.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you for that.
Sure.
I think I used WebEx one time about 5 years ago, and that's about it. So.
This
I
is
know.
Helen. I just walked back in. Were you talking about the scrolling feature so that he could see everyone across the top?
Actually, I was pointing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was pointing out the full screen view where you don't see the slide that's up, or you may see it just in a little thumbnail, but then the screen gets devoted to the feeds from all the different participants.
Ah, okay.
This is
So you
the
get more.
moderator.
Go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting. This is the moderator. You're correct. You click on the layout button and you'll click the full screen view. And then you will drag the window so it gets bigger. And then at the top right corner, if we're using the same devices, personal computer, there's different options. So you can, the first option is show the active speaker. The next one is show active speaker and thumbnail. And then last is show the grid view. You want to see the grid view to be able to see everyone who has their camera on.
So I'm on
And those who don't
layout
as well.
full screen view. Layout full screen view.
Correct.
And then I don't see the next. Where do I go next?
Yes. After that, do you see a little window with the name, perhaps CBA moderator, because I'm currently speaking?
Yes, I do. And then the rest of the screen is the California Board of Accountancy, says the date and then the break from 10:20 to 10:35. That's the screen I'm seeing. With CBA moderator, a small box in the top right.
I think you want to make the CBA moderator. If you go into that window, if you see you want to expand that to full screen. It's a little it's a little circle with 2 arrows pointing opposite directions.
Okay, I don't see that. I see there's a grid up on top of the Ted Dakar's box. One's like a box with lines drawn through it, so there's 4 squares, and the other's just one box, empty box. I don't see. Here's an arrow down. Let me try that one. Nope.
Moderator, could you show your screen to kind of assist?
That's Helen.
Sure, give me just a moment. So you will be seeing my entire screen here.
So just change.
If you click on the layout and click full screen view, and because I already had it in this mode, but it might have looked different for you, like maybe small like this, and just see whoever's speaking. But if you drag it out, so if you go to the corner and it has little arrows from side to side, if you drag that out, it gets bigger. And then at the top right, there's 3 options. One is show active speaker view, which I'm currently in. The next one shows you the active one with a row of the rest of them where you can scroll through. And lastly, the last option on the top right is show grid view, and you can see everyone who's a panelist.
Okay, there's a grid and it's got all these boxes, and I see just 2 cameras are on.
Correct.
I see your names. That's a good one. That's a good screen, I think.
And because we're on a
yeah.
break a lot, sorry, I interrupted. Since we're on a break, a lot of the cameras are off. So perhaps when we come back, some will be turned on. But is that a good view for you to see? Were you trying to see the list of names, but also the cameras?
That would be nice. I see the box lights up when somebody is speaking.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Do you have it at full screen or just the little box?
I have it basically just about full screen. It's a probably 3/4 screen, but it has all the boxes, all the names.
Perfect.
It appears to have all the names. Oh, it just changed now, and it's back to a different screen.
If you just pull
back
the
to-
screen that you want into large size by grabbing one of the corners, that should eventually make it big enough.
Try that again. You know, they're doing the siding on my building, and they're doing it right outside my window now. I don't know if you hear pounding or not. They're going to get good and loud pretty soon. Do you hear that? Goodness.
This
Here's
is
Carrie-Ann.
the moderator. I've promoted Stephen Krell. Stephen, if we can do a quick mic check and do a video check and leave that video feed on, please.
Yes, I am here. I don't see the video yet. Should I click on something?
Yes, and it's actually next to your mute, unmute button. So,
Start video.
yes.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. There you go. I can see your feed. Thank you. And we'll do a quick mic check with Miss Luz Molina. Sorry, not Miss Luz Molina. Sochi Leon, I've just promoted you to a panelist. We'll do a quick mic check to make sure your audio is working.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is the moderator. Just a friendly reminder for the panelists to please check that your microphone's unmuted before speaking. I do mute microphones to make sure there's no background noise or distortion throughout the meeting. Thank you. This is the moderator, so we're coming back from break. Board members, if you can please turn on your video feeds. Thank you. So once you have your video feeds on, I will turn it to Board President Nancy Corrigan to continue. Again, this is the moderator. Just a quick reminder, if you can please mute your microphone when you're not speaking, just to avoid background noise. Feel free to unmute yourself when you do have to speak. Thank you. Okay, this is the moderator. We're ready to proceed.
I'm sorry, moderator. I'm unable to hear you. I believe we are ready to proceed. Is that correct?
I apologize. Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Judge Bennett, I believe we're ready to proceed then on the matter of Stephen Krell, CPA. And I will ask Ms. Reed to again conduct a roll call, establish a quorum. Ms. Reed?
George Familette?
Present.
George Familette?
Present.
Mary Jiang?
Present.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines?
Present.
Dan Jacobson?
Here.
Soshi Leon?
Present.
Luz Molina Lopez?
Present.
Ariel Pay?
Present.
Deirdre Robinson?
Present.
Michael Savoy?
Present.
Mark Silverman?
Present.
Yin Tu?
Present.
And Nancy Corrigan?
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And with that, I need to ask if any members need to recuse themselves. If so, please raise your hand to be recognized for the record. And I don't see any raised hands. Your Honor, I believe we're ready to proceed.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I unmuted? Okay, great. Okay. My name is Wilbert Bennett. I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter. We are on the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Stephen Krell. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2021-030-939 and California Board of Accountancy case number SI-2021-33. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Ted Durkar, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California by authority of Business and Professions Code Section 5115 and Government Code Section 11522 for this petition hearing.
Thank you. Is the petitioner present?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Okay, please identify yourself, Mr. Krell.
Yes, Stephen Krell, spelled STEVEN KRELL.
Thank you. And you're representing yourself in this matter, is that correct?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Okay, before we proceed, I need to make a brief preamble. And among other things, this matter or these proceedings are being conducted via video and telephone conference because of the ongoing public health crisis. And because of this, it is necessary to remind the parties that we all have an interest and the public has an interest in creating an accurate and complete record in this matter. And for that reason, I want to remind the parties, because the court reporter is listening in via telephone and video, remind the parties not to talk over each other so that the court reporter can create a clear record in this matter. And I would also ask the court reporter to let us know if any clarification is necessary in terms of spelling of names and that kind of thing, or if any of us are speaking too fast so that the court reporter cannot create an accurate record. And I would ask the court reporter to identify himself by name and his CSR number. If you could please place that on the record.
I apologize, I was muted. My name is Mark Patterson, and my CSR number is 12432, California CSR.
Thank you, Mr. Court Reporter. And I would remind you at the end of this proceeding, if you could provide an estimate of the number of pages and the ending time of the hearing, so that if any party is interested, they can obtain a copy of the transcript. And a request form shall be made available to the parties in due course should either of the parties request a hearing transcript. Again, with that brief preamble, I want to give you a different type of preamble now because of the unrepresented party that we have. Mr. Krell?
Yes.
I want to remind you and indicate for the record that in this proceeding, the board is concerned with hearing about any rehabilitation since your license was disciplined. The procedure is that the Deputy Attorney General will first present a petition package and provide a case summary and background in this matter. And after that, you will have an opportunity to make your presentation. Remember that the board has had the benefit of reading the petition package, and you do not have to repeat anything in that package. You will be subject to questioning by both board members and the Deputy Attorney General. After the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a copy, you will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the near future. Do you have any questions at this point?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Krell. If any questions occur to you during the proceeding, please let us know. At this point, I will turn things over to the Deputy Attorney General for a presentation of the petition package. Please proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1 the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and petitioner have been provided with a copy of these same pages, which are sequentially numbered with the prefix SK-PET and then the page number. This packet includes SK-PET 179, which is the notice of hearing. So with that, I would ask for this Exhibit 1 to be admitted into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Krell?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. The petition package is in evidence as Exhibit 1 in this matter.
Honor, if you're ready, I would like to proceed with a summary of the case.
Please proceed, counsel.
Stephen Krell received his CPA certificate number 34692 in 1982. The license history is at PET 177 and 178 of Exhibit 1. His license was revoked by the board effective June 2005. This is his first petition for reinstatement. The underlying discipline arose from embezzlement of client funds from 1997 to 2003. The facts and circumstances are summarized in Mr. Franzella's memo at length from pages 2 through 6 of Exhibit 1. Mr. Krell breached his fiduciary duty and stole nearly $1 million from one client, a family trust, and he embezzled $400,000 from another client who entrusted money to him for an investment. He took these funds for personal use. Mr. Krell was working for a firm at the time of the misconduct, and the theft was discovered by an internal investigation. When confronted by his firm in 2003, he confessed. In December 2003, he asked to voluntarily surrender his CPA license. The board withheld written consent of the surrender, and an accusation was filed in February 2005. Mr. Krell entered a stipulated revocation in March 2005, which the board then adopted effective June 2005. The disciplinary order provided that Mr. Krell would pay costs in the amount of $5,271 in the event or as a condition of relicensure. At the time of his revocation, Mr. Krell had not been charged with any crime. Subsequent to his CPA license revocation, he faced state and federal criminal cases. In state superior court, he was charged with grand theft and with violation of Penal Code Section 368D, a statute that prohibits financial crimes against elders or dependent adults, because one of his clients qualified under that statute. In February 2008, Mr. Krell was sentenced to a year in jail and 92 months of formal probation for 2 counts of grand theft and 1 count of financial crimes against elders. However, in May 2014, all charges were dismissed pursuant to a Penal Code Section 1203.4 expungement. In 2009, a second criminal case was brought against Mr. Krell, this one in federal court. This was for tax evasion based upon filing of false tax returns and failure to declare the money that he had embezzled as income. In late 2009, Mr. Krell pled guilty to 1 count of subscribing to a materially false income tax return and was then sentenced to 3 years of probation. He was ordered to pay $387,000 in restitution to the IRS for back taxes owed for the years of 1997 to 2003. In 2010, Mr. Krell was indefinitely suspended from practice before the IRS. You would find that at page 167 of Exhibit 1. In 2004, Mr. Krell resigned his state bar license, which he had held since 1982. And state bar license, that's the attorney license. He was licensed as both a CPA and an attorney. And then in 2005, going back in time again, Mr. Krell's Nevada CPA license was revoked. Mr. Krell reports, but I don't think there was any documentation in the materials, but he reports that he was sued by the clients that he stole from. And he alleged that those claims were resolved with a combination of professional insurance payments and payments from his own assets. In his petition, Mr. Krell explains at pages 14 to 16 of Exhibit 1 why he believes his petition should be granted. His key contentions include his claims that he received 17 years of psychological counseling, that he's had continuous and ongoing counseling with his rabbi, that he participated in a 12-step recovery program for addictive behavior, and in 2017, that he says that he settled his delinquent tax obligation through an offer and compromise with the IRS. I don't believe that the activity within his temple or the 12-step program is covered by any of the documentation in your packet. So those matters would be credited as positive facts in his favor if you find his testimony credible about these things. If the CBA grants his petition, Mr. Krell says that he plans to continue his tax return practice that he's currently engaged in and pledges not to have control or access to any client money or investments. He says this at page 12 of Exhibit 1. Mr. Krell says that he needs to or wants to get his CPA license back so that he can represent his clients before the IRS. He would also like to be involved in CPA professional organizations. And he says that the status of being a CPA would help him retain clients and improve his professional status. This is stated by him at page 16 of Exhibit 1. As a housekeeping matter, I just wish to point out something I just recently noticed. At page 138 of Exhibit 1, near the top, I see the last four numbers of Mr. Krell's social security number. And so I'm not certain of the procedural solution here, but I suggest we redact or remove that social security number, the last four that are there. That's again, page 138. But with all that stated, I'm prepared to examine Mr. Krell after he makes any opening statement that he may wish to make or testimony on his own behalf.
Should I start now? I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Durkar, I'm making note of the matter that you raised on page 138, the last four of the social security number. Easiest way to do it, I suppose I could just draw a line through it so that it's not distinguishable. That might be a way of correcting that.
Your Honor, that would be acceptable. Yeah, if it could just be obliterated with a black marker or something like that.
Okay, I will see that happens so that it's so that is redacted and it's not part of the record. So I'll just do whatever is necessary to sort of obliterate that so that it's not distinguishable. Thank you, counsel. At this point, I would ask Mr. Krell if he is ready to proceed. Before you proceed, Mr. Krell, again, this is your opportunity to make a presentation before the board, and you may testify on your own behalf. You are reminded that the board has had the benefit of your petition package, so there is no need to repeat anything in that package. I would ask if you have any additional documents that you would like to present.
No, I don't at this time.
Okay, Mr. Krell, do you have any witnesses you would like to call to testify on your behalf?
Well, my wife is here and she's been a great support during this time, and she's alongside of me, but I don't think she has anything to say for the record.
Okay, at this point, before you begin, I'm going to swear you in as a witness. So please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Krell, you may make an opening statement if you wish. Anything you say hereafter, since you're sworn as a witness, will be considered as testimony. So you may proceed however you wish. If you want to make a summary and then have further testimony, or the ball is in your court as to how you wish to proceed.
Thank you very, very much, Your Honor. I was unfamiliar with the procedures before the board, so I just made some notes on an opening statement. Of course, I thank the board for its time and consideration of my case. I sent over, which I would describe, a mountain of...
Excuse me a moment. Excuse me for interrupting.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, Your Honor, He is very muffled, and I'm having a hard time distinguishing exactly what he is saying.
Okay.
Can he get close to the microphone, maybe?
Okay, can you try to get closer to the microphone, maybe?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I hope that helps. Is that fine,
Oh,
Your Honor,
Mr. Patterson?
can you hear that, Council, Mr. Patterson?
it's again, it's very muffled and hard to distinguish. I don't know if anyone else is having that problem.
I can hear him fine.
When
He
the
sounds like he's
host-
talking. Oh,
When the host did a mic check, she said I was fine. So I'm sorry for.
This is CBA legal. If everyone could confirm that their microphone is muted, that might also assist.
I'll try to speak slower and clearer and louder.
that will help.
This is the moderator. May I recommend that you get perhaps closer to the microphone as well?
Yes. Yes, I'm full size on the screen now, so I'm closer to it.
I didn't understand that at all. I apologize.
No, I said I'm moving closer to the microphone.
That was better. Thank you.
Okay, good. So if I could start again. Again, I thank the board for its time and consideration. I sent over, I know, a huge amount of documents and forms
I
for everyone's consideration. Firstly, I cannot excuse or rationalize the actions that I took or that occurred in 2003. When I went through therapy soon afterwards, I like to use the phrase, I misused client funds and was often corrected and used the proper term, I stole client funds. When confronted by my firm, I acknowledge and accepted everything that I had done, and I didn't challenge the amount. I had done horrible things. I had hurt people. I had hurt clients, my firm. I had hurt my friends, and most importantly, I had hurt my family. I started counseling immediately with a 12-step program of therapy and meetings with my rabbi. Those statements, I didn't provide the letters, but they were referred to in Caldwell Leslie's privileged statement. In December 2003, I settled with my firm in the malpractice insurance carrier. I did surrender my CPA license, my law license, and I did have a insurance license at that time. So I surrendered that also. And the settlement with my firm relieved me of any financial obligations, but there was a clause in there that the parties would not file any criminal charges against me. I was well informed and knew at that time and advised of counsel that that was an unenforceable clause. And although I was charged by the state 4 years later, my rehabilitation and counseling and therapy was not intended to lessen any criminal charges. It was to get my life back, for me to get well, and to have my family gain some confidence. In 2014, well, my criminal charges, as already said, I was sentenced to a year in county jail, but actually I only spent 5 days as a guest in Twin Towers. And then I was released for 6 months house arrest. And I had a 92-month probation. After I had served about 6 years of that, 5 or 6 years, I sent in a request to the court for the early termination of my probation. And I asked for that because I had clients out of state, and I couldn't travel out of state unless I had okay from my probation officer. And when I appeared in court for my request for early termination, I did not expect or ask for expungement or dismissal of the charges. And the court made mention of my file and what had occurred over the past 7 years. I've been fortunate and lucky, and with great support, built up a practice of 300 accounts that are in 30 states. I applied for and took a 60-hour course and exam to get a license with CTEC, the California Tax Education Council. And with that license, I am able to prepare returns. I use the most sophisticated software that I can find. It is the CCH Pro FX that allows me to file returns in 50 states and all types of returns. In summary, I love my work. I didn't get here alone without support, and that support is still with me. I've had no complaints or any civil actions against me since 2003. By court order and agreement, I cannot have access or control over client funds. I have made an effort to not solicit clients from my old firm or clients in the Los Angeles greater area. My buildup of clients has been totally by referrals. The court ordered me to send out letters in 2007 to all my clients describing the illegal acts that I had done and requesting that the client sign these letters and send them back to my law firm. Also, the court required that I send CTEC, who granted me a license, letter stating the illegal acts that I had done. And I enclosed copies of those in my file. I asked for return of my CPA license because it is difficult to represent clients before the IRS. I either have to get them on the phone or they have to appear with me, and I can serve my clients in a greater and fuller fashion. I would like to be able to join CPA societies and groups to expand my network. And having a CPA license would, of course, help me with client retention. I have no intention to expand the extent and type of practice. I do tax consulting with clients. I review their QuickBooks files. From that, I prepare their returns. I project out their current and future years tax obligations, and that's the extent. And I'm very happy and fortunate to have had that. But the greatest prize, which I said that I acquired or kept over these 18 years, was my family and 3 grandchildren, 8, 5, and 2, which is the biggest gift of all. So I thank the board and everyone for their consideration. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crowell. At this point, I would ask if the Deputy Attorney General has any questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
Mr. Krell, one concern would be that you've been out of the CPA profession for 16 years now. Have you taken any courses recently that would qualify for continuing education credits for a CPA?
Well, I had to take a 60-hour course to get my CTEC license, and I have to have 20 hours of continuing education, 10 hours on tax law, 3 hours on tax updates, 2 on ethics, and 5 hours on state. I also am required to have a $5,000 surety bond. I subscribe to the Kiplinger letter for taxes, and my continuing education is through Spidell. So I used to be able to go to their live seminars, but now it's all done online. So that's how I keep current.
Mr. Krell, your documentation refers to a 12-step program that you participated in. It says in the documentation that it was for addictive behavior. Could you tell us what that 12-step program was, the title and the nature of it?
Well, it's 3 parts. It's gambling, excessive use of alcohol, and there was a sexual component also.
When did you start that program?
Excuse me a moment. Excuse me a moment. What was the third component?
Sexual addiction.
Thank you.
I started that program. I was charged by my firm, confronted by my firm on May 5th, 2003. I saw my therapist on May 6th for a 2-hour session on May 6th, 2003, and I started the 12-step program that month, May 2003. And as part of the program, you ask for and get a sponsor, and that sponsor is someone that is with you along your whole road. So that's an important component of that.
How many steps of the program did you complete?
All 12.
Okay. And what's the name of that program?
Ooh. I think it's just, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to avoid you. There's Gamblers Anonymous, there's Alcohol Anonymous, there's Sexual Addiction Anonymous. So if you go online and, just type in AA programs, you can choose. The program that I was in had, every time we met on Saturdays for an hour to 2 hours, and I went 2 to 3 times a week. There were always about 40 or 50 people there, and there was a spectrum of issues that they had. So it wasn't just confined to one area. And it was a great program because it makes you feel you aren't alone. And if you need support, there's a lot of people there. And it really saved my life. I mean, my rabbi saved my life. My wife saved my life. My wife only allowed me, after all this occurred, back in the house. I didn't know if she would divorce me or not, but she allowed me back in the house to say she would be with me as long as I continued to get well. And that was the, other force that moved me along.
Did you subsequently serve as a sponsor for anybody in an AA program?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, well, often you can ask someone if you can be their sponsor, but the usual way is someone approaches you, because often when you meet, you give a share and you share what has happened, and you start off by saying, I'm an addict, and you tell what's happened, and there's always issues that you're struggling with. So when someone asks you to be their sponsor, you go through the book. There's a 12-step book, and you start to go through the steps with them, and one by one. And I think that after you're done with the second or third step, the sponsee gives a presentation to the sponsor, and it's usually you have one other person that's there too, and they present their story and their case and how they intend to move on. Now, often your sponsee will have a slip, which means they'll act out again and they'll do something that they're trying to correct. And that's more of a challenge because you can't be authoritarian. You have to go over what happened, what led you to that, and why you didn't call out for help. Because often I would get a phone call from somebody that's saying, I'm in a bad place, or I'm in a bar, or I'm in a place, and I'm gonna act, I want to act out. And you speak with them on the phone and you sort of talk them through it. It is seriously a great program. I cannot sponsor it.
Thank you, Mr. Krill. In your documentation, you express a lot of contrition about what you did, and that remorse was primarily directed towards your clients that you had stolen from, and your family that was hurt by your conduct. And in your opening remarks here today, you also mentioned that you let down friends and your firm. I believe that members of this board could be quite concerned about the harm that your conduct did to your accounting firm and to the CPA profession. How do you understand, what's your understanding of how your theft of client funds affected your former firm?
Therapy helped me a lot in this, in the sense that when you're in therapy and you've done something bad, your first reaction is to say, I'm sorry, and to apologize as much as you can. And therapy taught me that apology is only part of it. You have to feel the hurt and the pain that you caused. You have to feel the pain that you caused the people on the other side. And that started with my family, and started with feeling the hurt and pain that I caused my firm, and the letdown. You know, I still carry a lot of that hurt with me. When I prepared and sent over everything to the council, it was a cathartic experience to go through things that happened 18 years ago. And I waited, I waited so long to send in my petition because I wanted to have an offer in compromise with the IRS, and I believed I had to wait 10 years after my federal prosecution. So after that occurred, I felt I had to wait 10 years. It's one thing to receive something that says the state of California versus Stephen Crowell. It's another thing to get something that says the United States of America versus Stephen Crowell. So I wanted to wait the 10-year time.
Mr. Krell, the first reason that you gave in your petition application for wanting to reinstate your CPA license is so that you can represent clients before the IRS or the Franchise Tax Board. Now, my understanding from reading the documents is that you were indefinitely suspended from practice before the IRS. Do you have any plans to become reinstated with the IRS?
Well, I asked in 2010 and no 2014, and I was ratified that the U.S. Attorney Paul Rockmess wrote a letter to the IRS asking that I be reinstated or allowed to for practice, and he used the term that Stephen Crow's been totally rehabilitated. It's important because I'm sure we all know that clients get letters from the IRS all the time. They didn't report income, or there was a mistake on their return, or something was left off. And the easiest way and most efficient way and cost-effective way is for me to phone them and say that here is the answer, and can I send you something? So if my CPA license is restored, I would go through the practice of what the procedure is to be able to contact or appear before the IRS.
All right, thank you, Mr. Krell. Your Honor, those are all the questions that I have for him.
Thank you, Counsel.
Thank you, Counsel. Before we proceed further, I just have a clarifying question. Can you hear me? I'm not muted. Yeah, okay. Clarifying question is, you mentioned that by court order, you cannot have access or control over client funds, correct?
Yes, that was part of Judge Lance Ito's settlement. And it also was restated in my plea agreement with the US government. So it is legally, I mean, you know, it's in black and white. And although I have a lot of clients now and I'm doing work, I cannot make a mistake. You understand, I'm sort of like zero mistake tolerance here. So I sort of have that rod at my back.
Okay, I just want to clarify, you're saying that both courts ordered that as part of the criminal proceeding?
Yes, as far as their defendants' obligations. And I can refer you to both the federal plea agreement and my agreement with the Superior Court.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
At this point, I'm going to
Honor?
call for, I'm sorry, is there
Your
someone
Honor?
else who's interjecting?
This is
Oh,
the court
court,
reporter.
yes, it's court reporter.
Before we go too far, may I just ask for the name of the judge that he mentioned, please?
The judge, there were two. The judge was Judge Lance Ito,
Could you spell it?
Could you spell it for him?
Lanceito. He was a Superior Court judge, and the federal judge,
You just said one name, I believe. So if that was the one you said,
Yeah.
that's okay.
yeah, and it's the federal judge. I don't have his name handy.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm very sorry. I don't have it. I mean, I have the documents, but they don't.
okay, thank you. I think the court reporter had his question answered. At this point, I'm going to ask for a roll call for any questioning by board members.
George Famlet,
No questions.
Mary Jiang,
Yes, I have one question. Mr. Crow, you mentioned that you waited all these years to ask for reinstatement of your CPA license because you wanted to wait until you completed the offer and compromise with the IRS, which was finished in 2017. So why did you still wait further to ask for reinstatement now?
Because the offer and compromise with the IRS was separate from my I was sentenced by the US court I'm sorry, in 2009. So I felt that I had my sentencing before the US court, and the plea agreement was in 2009, and I felt I had to wait 10 years, at least 10 years after that. So that brought me to 2019. I was, I can't say, I'm very fortunate and lucky to have built up a tax practice, but clients would ask me, can I represent them before the IRS and it just became awkward. And that's why I started to investigate and explore how to make the request to the CBA.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
No questions, thank you.
Dan Jacobson,
Thank you. Sir, what type of therapy did you undergo? regarding this instance?
Oh, I'm not sure the name. I mean, I had for 17 years, Miss Eileen Bell, and she's a licensed therapist. Oh, here's her card. She's a clinical psycho analyst. She's licensed, and her offices are in the Larchmont area. So, and please, when this happened, she did suggest that I was prescribed some pills to calm me down, because I would have, panic attacks. So I'd have that. So she helped me calm myself down and move on.
Thank you.
Soshi Leon,
No questions at this time.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Yes, thank you. I do have a series of questions, Mr. Krell. First, I wanted to ask about your continuing education. I heard you state earlier several courses and several hours, and I'm not clear if those are courses that you have completed, and has any of this continuing education um, been sent to the CBA? Do we have any of that on record?
To answer you, the courses that I must take to keep my CTEC license must be offered by a qualified continuing education company. So I have to renew my CTEC license each year, provide them with proof that I've taken the 20 hours, and provide them with a copy of my surety bond. So they will not renew my license. Included in the package, I had my CTEC license, the current thing that said that I received my license in 2008, and it's current now. So I keep that. But I'm sure we're aware with the changing of the tax laws. I can't wait to take a continuing education course. So use of the Kiplinger letters and other webinars help a great deal.
Okay. I also wanted to have an idea of your practice today. I noticed on your letter, page PET 47, this is a letter from 2014, and you state, I continue to work as a tax practitioner and consultant. My practice has now grown to over 300 clients in approximately 40 states. And that was from 2014. I wonder if you can help illustrate what the practice is as of today. How many clients and how many states?
I have approximately the same number. I'm probably at 34 or 5 states. Most of my clients are young, 30s and 40s. They are mobile, and especially with the cost of housing and things, I have a lot of clients that have moved to tax-free states, North Carolina, South Carolina, and what I receive from them is I generally, for their corporate returns, I do about 200 corporate returns. I receive a QuickBooks file. So I have a lot of, I have the QuickBooks on my system here. So from that, I review their income and their expenses. I don't audit the items that in the QuickBooks file, but if there's something unusual, I will challenge the client on that. And the unusual items sometimes are meals, entertainment, auto, travel, and stuff. So if there's a disproportionately high amount there, I will ask the client for some support. Otherwise, I prepare their individual returns, and I have a tax organizer that is used through the CCH Pro FX, and now that's done online. So my clients can have access to it, fill it out, and then I receive it. I do try to project their current and next year's tax liability. I will, though, suggest often an IRA or SEPI, IRA or pension plan, but I will, they ask me, I have a referral or two. I don't receive any kickbacks from the referrals, and I don't handle or have access to funds.
Thank you. And you also mentioned, should your license be reinstated, that you would have the ability to appear before the IRS on behalf of your clients. And I would like to understand, how often does that happen? Does a request such as this happen for your practice?
I probably get letters from the clients send me at least 3 to 6 per month that they receive a notice. And what would also is on a few clients, I have filed amended returns, and on paper returns, the IRS is extremely slow. Clients often phone on what is happening, and I would like to be able to phone the IRS and just check that the 1040X has been received, or the 20X has been received, and it's in process. But I try to tell clients there's a 6 to 9 month lag on the IRS to respond to anything that requires human hands to touch.
Thank you. And my last question just concerns the disclosure letter that the court asked for you to provide to your clients upon your conviction. This was in 2007. My question is it, are you still required to provide this disclosure letter to your present or potential clients?
Do you know if I can be candid with you, which during the first 8 years, let's say 8 or 10 years. Well, I'm sorry to answer you. I'm no longer required because my probation time is up. I used to frequently get a call from a client saying, you know, I was looking your name up on the internet, and whoa, you know, what was that? And I would have to explain. And I would explain to them what occurred and explain to them therapy and help and correction. I don't get those calls now, or I might get one a year, so I don't receive those calls. And again, I don't advertise the client referrals I get are referrals from existing clients. And one client referred me someone, and that referral checked and saw my name and said to my client, you know, I can't use this guy because of that. And that client knew my history and, you know, said he's a good guy and he's always helped me and been fair and honest and up front. So listen, I can't change the past, you know, I can't change what happened. I can just change how I act now and going forward. That's all I can do.
Thank you, Mr. Krell. No further questions.
Ariel Pay,
No questions. Thank you.
Deirdre Robinson,
No questions. Thank you.
Michael Savoy,
No questions.
Mark Silverman,
No questions.
Yen Tu,
Yes, thank you very much. Mr. Crow, help me understand a little bit. I mean, obviously for 17 years, you do not have a CPA license. And how did you, during this time, there's a lot of changes, obviously, with the IRS laws and everything. How do you keep up your knowledge and with the times?
Well, I don't read a lot of fiction or nonfiction books, so my reading is really news. Again, the Kiplinger letter, the continuing education, the podcast. Because I subscribe to Spidell, they always send me something on a webinar or what is new. So again, my practice is not issuing financials. My practice is just the tax work. So if there's something that comes out relating to taxes, the IRS, the changes in the IRS laws that happened 2 years ago regarding the advantage of having S corps and to reduce your personal federal income by 20% of your flow-through income was a major change. And I used to have 200 corporations that majority of them were on fiscal years. Now I have 190 that are S corps on calendar years. So that required me to be current on the change in the tax laws, how clients cannot abuse their flow-through entity. Talking to clients, if you have 100,000 of income through an S corp, you can't just get a $1,000 salary for the whole year. So there's constantly following what's new, and then the tough part is to educate the clients on that. So I don't read lots of outside books, and I have 3 grandchildren that when they come over consume all my time. So that's my life.
Thank you. That's all the question I have.
and Nancy Corrigan.
Thank you. No questions at this time. Thank you. Okay, so that completes the board members' questions and comments according to the roster. Members, based on other members' questions and responses, do you have any further items to discuss? Please show by raising your hand to be called upon for the record. And Your Honor, I see no hands, and we can continue at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Corrigan. At this time, I would like to provide the opportunity to the petitioner to provide any closing statement or remarks. and then I'll forward the opportunity to the Deputy Attorney General.
I can just add, I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity to appear before the board, and apologize for the time and the documents that I sent in the volume. And again, I appreciate your time and assistance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Durkar?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. When considering the public protection prerogative with regards to this petition, we have very weighty things on both sides of the scale here. On the one hand, Mr. Krell's transgression, the theft of large sums of money from two clients, including an elderly or indigent client for direct personal gain, is some of the most serious misconduct that a CPA could commit. And after his license was revoked, he was convicted of felonies in both state and federal court, including a conviction for tax fraud. And yet, as negative as that is, many of the rehabilitation criteria that are found in Rule 99.1, those rehabilitation criteria are in Mr. Krell's favor. We have the passage of a very long time since revocation and the misconduct. There's no sign of any misconduct since then. The state convictions have been expunged, and he successfully completed probation for the federal offense. Mr. Krell appears to have been straightforward and contrite about his misconduct once confronted with it. And he is able to discuss the magnitude of his transgressions and is able to express remorse about them in a manner that seems quite relatable. Mr. Krell has engaged in a significant amount of work on himself, which would be important for rehabilitation and reduces the likelihood of recidivism. He's completed a 12-step program. He reports having engaged in 17 years of therapy plus psychiatric help, and he reports having received counseling from his rabbi that's ongoing. An important new consideration when weighing public protection and rehabilitation is subdivision B of Board Rule 99.1, which provides for purposes of issuing a license to an applicant that has been convicted of a crime, the board will consider the applicant to have made a showing of rehabilitation if the applicant has completed the criminal sentence at issue without a violation of parole or probation. Now, it isn't clear from my analysis of it, the board may entertain its own analysis, of course, if that rule applies, because Mr. Krell was revoked before he incurred the convictions. So he wasn't revoked because of the convictions. But given that his convictions stemmed from the same set of facts that resulted in his discipline, you may deem it appropriate to recognize that rule, Rule 99.1 subdivision B, about successful completion of parole or probation. And that would weigh strongly in favor of a finding of rehabilitation. And for the people, I wish to raise two procedures that could be applied to protect public safety if the board decides to grant Mr. Krell's petition. Mr. Krell says that he will not handle client funds, and the disciplinary guidelines have a provision that covers this. I believe it's number 39 in the disciplinary guidelines called prohibition from handling funds. And so it would be appropriate to make that a practice restriction for him. Secondly, Mr. Krell has not practiced as a CPA for many years, and it doesn't appear that he has done the CE that would be required of a CPA. That's understandable, but it would be good for public protection purposes if the board would require Mr. Krell to complete 80 hours or another appropriate amount of continuing education before his license is reinstated, and provide him with a deadline so that the reinstatement wouldn't remain in limbo for a long period of time. So with that said, in closing, it's important to consider that Mr. Krell engaged in outrageous and harmful misconduct. But the people, in the people's interest, it's also important to consider that a lot of time has passed since he transgressed, and he appears to have spent that time doing the things that a person should do to become rehabilitated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Durkart. Do you happen to recall the number of the guideline that pertains to completion of CE as a condition precedent? I know it's in the guidelines somewhere. Do you offhand, do you remember the number? If not, I could look it up.
I'm sorry, I didn't make note of that number. I did see it.
Okay, that's fine. I just thought just for ease of reference. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much, Council. As I indicated before, the burden of proof is on you, Mr. Krell. Is there anything you'd like to make by way of a further reply, closing argument?
Thank you. No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you very much. And nothing further from the board members, I assume? Okay. That concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The case is submitted and the record closed. We are off the record in this matter. And I would ask the court reporter to give us an estimate of the number of pages and the time of ending of the hearing. Okay, Mr. Patterson? Mr. Patterson, are you muted?
Hello.
Oh, you're there. Okay. Okay, estimated number of pages. I'm not sure what's happening with our court reporter. Mr. Patterson?
This is the moderator. It appears that the court reporter's audio has disconnected.
I see.
A couple minutes to see if he connects back on. This is the moderator. I am monitoring the attendee list to see if the court reporter logs back in. Your Honor, this is CBA Legal.
Yes.
Not only that we don't have a court reporter, but if all we're looking for is the pages, perhaps we can get that information prior to the next hearing after the lunch break.
Okay.
else can be done at this point without a court reporter?
Yes, that is true. So I guess we have no choice but to terminate for now. And what time do the parties wish to resume? Does everyone want to resume? So 11:50 now, roughly?
Your Honor, we will have to resume at 1:30 with the Daniel Robles matter. So
Okay, we'll
just,
resume at 1:30.
you will resume at
hopefully we can
1:30
locate-
promptly, and we'll finish what we need and then start with the Robles matter, the petition hearing.
Okay, we'll resume at 1:30. Thank you very much.
And this is the moderator. If I can ask the board members to please join back in at around 1:15 so we can conduct mic checks and be ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we're waiting. One member's logging on right now. And I think Judge Bennett is just logging on. Then we'll be ready to start. Thank you.
Ted, can I say something about one of the things you brought up before?
Mr. Savoy? Yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, so it doesn't become a belaboring issue, that in order to force somebody to get reinstated or acquire a CPA license, they have to have their continuing education. So while it may be part of an order, it's automatic that they have to have their 80 hours, leading up to that. So I think it's an automatic thing. So we don't have to, certainly we can put it in the orders, but if they don't have it, they don't get a certificate or a renewal. So just to let you know.
Okay, so it's not just a good idea, it's the law.
Exactly.
Definitely the law that all we CPAs must follow.
This is the moderator. I promoted Mark Silverman. If we can do a quick mic check and video check, please.
Check and check.
Thank you. I can hear you and I can see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, welcome back from lunch. And I believe we are ready to have our roll call so that we can proceed with the next petition matter, which is Daniel Robles, CBA 137781. Ms. Reed, would you please take roll and establish whether we have a quorum?
George Familet,
Present.
Mary Jeong,
Present.
Carrie Ann Farrell Hines,
Present.
Dan Jacobson,
Here.
Luz Molina Lopez,
Present.
Dee Dee Owens,
Present.
Ariel Pay,
Present.
Deirdre Robinson,
Present.
Michael Savoy,
Present.
Mark Silverman,
Present.
Yen Tu,
Present.
And Nancy Corrigan. Present.
and we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Reed, for establishing that we have a quorum. At this time, before we continue, are there any members that need to recuse themselves from this matter? Please raise your hand so that you are recognized for the record. I see that there are no hands raised. Your Honor, I think we're ready to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Wilbert Bennett. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I have been assigned to preside over this matter. Let the record reflect that we are proceeding And we are on the record in the matter of the petition for reduction of penalty of Daniel Robles. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings case number 2021-050-656 and Office of California Board of Accountancy case number AC-2019-16. Before we proceed, I have a couple of brief preambles that I need to make. First of all, we're proceeding via teleconference and telephone because of the ongoing public health crisis. And because of the extraordinary nature of these proceedings under these circumstances, I wish to remind all the parties not to talk over each other so that the court reporter can create a clear and accurate record. And by the same token, I would ask the court reporter if he needs any clarification or is unable to hear testimony or presentation, please let us know so we can take appropriate corrective action. And at this time, I would ask the court reporter to identify himself by name and CSR number.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mark Patterson, and my CSR number is 12432.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. And I would ask you at the end of this proceeding if you could please provide an estimate of the estimated number of pages and the ending time of the hearing so that the parties may be appropriately advised. A request form shall be made available to the parties in due course should any of the parties request a hearing transcript. That being said, I'm going to make another type of preamble at this point, and that is essentially to indicate that well, first of all, before I make that preamble, I do wish to take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General.
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Ted Durkar, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Business and Professions Code Section 5115 and Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you, Mr. Durkar. The petitioner is present and is representing himself. Is that correct?
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Flores, since you're not represented by counsel in this matter, I wish to make a brief preamble to orient you to the nature of these proceedings to make sure that you're on board. First of all, in this proceeding, the board is concerned with hearing about any rehabilitation since your license was disciplined. The Deputy Attorney General will first present your petition package and provide a brief case summary and background in this matter. After that, you will have an opportunity to make your presentation. Reminder, the board has had the benefit of reading the petition package, and you do not have to repeat anything in that package. You will be subject to questioning by both the board members and the Deputy Attorney General. After the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the near future. Do you have any questions at this point?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Robles, at this point, I will turn it over to the Deputy Attorney General for presentation of the petition package. Counsel?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Daniel Robles received his certificate number 125631 in December 2014. The license history is at pages 42 and 43 of the materials that are before you. But first, I think I ought to back up and admit those documents into evidence. So I would like to mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1 the original petition packet with accompanying documents. The board members and petitioner have been provided with copies of the same exhibit. And these documents total 46 pages, which have the prefix DR-PET and then the page number. And these documents include pages 44 and 45, which are the notice of hearing. So I would ask to admit Exhibit 1 into evidence.
Mr. Robles, do you have any objection?
No, sir.
Okay, the petition package will be marked as Exhibit 1 and introduced into evidence at this time. Please proceed, Mr. Durkar.
Thank you. The accusation against Mr. Robles was filed in February 2019, and he subsequently entered a stipulated settlement that was adopted by this board. The board's decision and order revoked his license effective January 6th, 2020, with the revocation stayed pending 3 years of probation. And there was a 6-month suspension that was served up front during that 3-year period. So that expired in July 2020. So he completed that suspension just a little over a year ago. The disciplinary order required Mr. Robles to pay $14,000 in costs and a $2,500 administrative penalty. He has made no payment towards either of those obligations. The order also required him to take certain education courses, including a regulatory review course, by July 20th, by July 2020. So that, in other words, during the period of his 6-month suspension. And it further provided that he's not permitted to practice until he completes that regulatory review course. That requirement, it's provision number 13 of his probation. That's found at pages 22 and 23 of Exhibit 1. And I'll just read a little bit from it. It says, prior to resumption of practice, respondent shall complete a CBA approved course on the provisions of the California Accountancy Act and the CBA regulations. And then I skip ahead to the second paragraph in probation term 13. It says, if respondent fails to complete said courses within the time period provided, respondent shall so notify the CBA and shall cease practice until respondent completes said courses, has submitted proof of same to the CBA, and has been notified by the CBA that he or she may resume practice. Failure to complete the required courses within the time period provided shall constitute a violation of probation. Now, if you look at page 13 of Exhibit 1, this is the second page of a Wolters-Kluwer education printout that was submitted by Mr. Robles. And there does appear, it says regulatory review for California CPAs on the bottom half of page 13. But it says passed on August 30th, 2020, which would be late. He was required to complete that course during his period of suspension within 6 months. And my understanding is that when documentation was requested, a certificate for that course, that hasn't been submitted either. So it appears that he's also been in violation of provision 13 of his probation terms. Now, I'll cover what the underlying discipline was for. It arose from misconduct by Mr. Robles while he was working as a seasonal tax preparer for the GFSI firm in 2015. He worked there seasonally from 2013 to 2015, but the misconduct arose in 2015. The facts and circumstances are summarized in Mr. Franzella's memo at pages 2 and 3 of Exhibit 1. In short, while working for GFSI and using the firm's resources, Mr. Robles provided tax preparation services to 48 clients, in which he listed GFSI as the firm preparing the returns. He falsely listed himself as the lead preparer in contravention of the instructions he'd been given by the firm. And he used his personal contact information from these clients. And furthermore, he embezzled from the firm by having clients pay him directly rather than paying the firm for which he was working. Also, Mr. Robles failed to prepare and file returns for some of the clients from which he took money. He took client contact information and then tried to solicit at least one of the firm's clients after he was terminated. And when contacted by a board investigator, Mr. Robles falsely stated that he had never had any of GFSI's clients pay him directly, and he denied listing his personal contact information on the client's returns, which was proved false by documentation. Let's see. Also notable is that in 2019, Mr. Robles got a citation for failing to complete the periodic 20 and 12 CE requirements. That's at pages 33 to 36 of Exhibit 1. Mr. Robles, in the petition before you, seeks an early end to his 3-year probation and asked to be excused from paying the costs and administrative penalty that he agreed to in the stipulated settlement. He explains at page 10 of Exhibit 1 why he believes the petition should be granted. Quote, due to health condition, severe diabetes, and financial hardship brought about by the pandemic, I cannot get stable long-term employment, unquote. Mr. Robles says that if the petition is granted, he will attempt to find a job as an entry-level accountant. Mr. Robles has not submitted any letters of recommendation or reference with his petition. And I'm done with my questions, but prepared, or rather done with my initial presentation and prepared to proceed with questions, Your Honor, once we see if Mr. Robles has an introductory statement.
Thank you, Mr. Dakar. I wonder if you could clarify one other matter on page 0, let's see, 007, which lists reason for discipline. The copy, my copy is kind of faint. Can you possibly read that, or if you can't, we can have Mr. Robles read that?
Your Honor, I had planned to ask him to read that, so
okay.
You know, I can't read it either.
Okay, let's have him do it when he makes his presentation then. Okay, Mr. Dakar, Mr. Robles. I indicated earlier, this is your opportunity to.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Your Honor, Nancy Corrigan. I'm wondering if we can have petitioner turn his camera on, turn his video on, so that we can see him communicate a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. That's
Can you
great.
see him
Thank
now,
you.
Ms. Corrigan? Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Robles, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to give you just a brief preamble here before we get your presentation. The one thing I want to stress that this is your opportunity to present your case. You may testify on your own behalf. You are reminded that the board has had the benefit of your petition package. So there is no need to repeat anything in that package. I'm going to ask if you have any additional documents that you would like to present.
No, not at this time, sir.
Okay, do you have any witnesses you would like to call to testify on your behalf?
No, sir.
Okay, Before anything further happens, I'm going to swear you in as a witness. So please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Before you proceed, I wonder if you could clarify page 7 of your petition.
I'm trying to pull it up right now on I'm trying to pull it up right now. I didn't think that my mistake. I didn't think that this was going to come up. I thought we were just going to discuss the factors regarding the payment. So that was my mistake, and I apologize. So, and unfortunately, I have a pretty slow internet connection here.
Okay, so you're unable to see what's on page 7?
I'm trying to pull it up right now.
If not,
it's slow. Sorry.
okay, that's fine. Maybe we could start and at some point in your testimony, you could try to let us know what that reads. Part of it's legible and part of it is not quite legible, but
Yeah.
is it coming up or should we proceed?
Page 7 on this package on the petition form.
Yeah, where it says reason for discipline.
That's the Walter Kluwer's page. Reason for discipline. Oh, clients requested outside services. Owner was unaware. However, owner of firm was paid for all work done by firm. So on behalf of the firm, outside work was not paid to me by company.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this point, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yeah, I mean,
and then you can proceed with your whatever you want to say.
Okay. Well, I mean, the basics. My basic statement is, the firm I was working at, I worked there for 3 years. Beginning in the second year, I would do outside work. I would do outside work for clients and other work. The way they scheduled it and the schedule was assigned there. Was assigned there is they had everyone scheduled every half hour. Well, per California law, I'm entitled to the 2 15-minute breaks, and that's when I would do the work for everybody, for the outside people. And this wasn't something that was being hidden from the office manager or other people. As a matter of fact, the office manager and another employee there would turn away work, and that's when I said, well, I'll do it. I'll take the extra money. And unfortunately, this was done without the owner's knowledge. But I met up with a client out here that had a pizza place by my house. And I prepared sales tax returns for her, and then all these other kinds. So when they sit there and they say that that I embezzled money, I disagree with that statement, because every client whose work I did on their time was paid to them. When I got outside referrals and the thing, and like I said, the mistake was that the owner wasn't aware of what was happening. That right there was the mistake. And when he found out that what was happening, he got angry. And like I said, I was under the impression he knew that they were turning away this stuff. It turns out not to be true. So all GFS clients were all work done by GFS for GFS clients and everything. All that was paid for and taken care of. And and as far as the thing about putting myself as lead, I don't know if you've ever used the Lacert software, but it says prepared by, and I would put myself, and that was it. And to hear them say it, it's some sort of like if it was some sort of malicious thing. But one, I never submitted any returns myself. All that information was done by somebody else. Two, I didn't enter myself into the system at all. So when it says right there that my phone number, that my phone number and all those other stuff is there, I didn't enter myself as a preparer. I didn't put in my information. Like I said, I just put myself as a preparer. Yet they ran with like this was some sort of some sort of plot to do that. And then when he said, when Gary said, hey, can you stop doing this? I did. So, I don't, this wasn't, they make it seem like if I, tried to undermine everything. At no point in time did I solicit their customers since leaving the office. They said that I took a client list of some kind. At the end of the second tax season, I had the packet, listing, whose taxes I prepared. That is true. And I returned it to them at the beginning of the third tax season. I didn't keep it. I didn't contact one person off of it or anything. I basically wanted to see which clients came back to me, because I was actually a pretty happy person there. And, I had some customers from the first season come back to the second one, and I wanted to see from the second to the third. And they knew that I took this. That's the
Slow down, please. Wait a moment, sir, please slow down.
Mr. Robles, please speak more slowly for the court reporter.
Okay. Well, the office manager was aware that I took this, and when I returned from my third year, I had it, and it was right there, and it was returned to them. So when they make it out to be like all this stuff, and it wasn't like that. But to get this matter resolved and try to put it past me, I just said, okay, I can't fight their statements, because they had all the evidence. They threw away some of my items. They threw away some of my personal items. Some of the stuff that I had left there. They threw it away. So I was unable to defend myself. And the investigator says that that I put myself as put my contact information there on the returns. I put myself as the preparer on the returns, because I was the preparer on those returns. There's nothing there. And like I said, once they told me please don't do that, I stopped doing it. There's nothing there. Every client, and as I said before, every GFS client that was taken care of, that was on their list was taken care of. They say that I called their customers and solicited them. I'm not sure which customers they're talking about. There was one gentleman whose taxes I did outside of the office.
Please slow down.
There was one gentleman whose taxes I did outside of the office. However, it was done between me and him. Like I said, they didn't want to help him at the office, because I believe he had missed like 2 appointments or something like that. They did not want to help him. So I said, I'll do it. And I use their software to do a lot of these returns. So once again, when they sit there and they go back, this and that here and there, it wasn't untrue that this was being done behind their back. It was being done on their software, on their software for returns that were on their everything. It was done. It was like that the first year, the second year, and the third year. I was using their software to do other returns. So, like I said, you know, I don't have access to their files or folders or anything like that. The only thing, like I said, the only thing I did have was the copy of the returns for the second year. I mean, not the copy of the returns, but the listing on the people for the second return. But at no point did I reach out to any of those clients or anything like that. And like I said, I merely kept it. And like I said,
slow down.
Yes, sir.
Sir, please take a breath and slow down.
Okay. And like I said, all this stuff. And just so you know, the way this came to the owner's attention was that I had prepared a tax return and put a label on it being mailed out to this person. So, forgive me for saying this, but if I was trying to commit some sort of major crime or something like that, it'd be kind of foolish to use the company's outgoing mail to put it into, I believed I was acting, in a fair way. This was work that, that was being turned away. It was work that was being done on my time. And that was it. Now, as for everything since then, unfortunately, I had a job working as a controller, as a dietary supplement, in a dietary supplement manufacturing industry. My health is in a declining state. I'm not sure how familiar you are with diabetes or anything, but my A1C doesn't come under 10. It's usually around 12 or higher. The last time I got checked, it was slightly over 14. Unfortunately, that prevents me from doing any sort of, high stress, work, like I'm sure, we've all done in our careers. Like I said, I was working as a controller at that place. And unfortunately, I'm unable to find a job. And because of my health condition, I've basically just stayed inside the house for the most part for the last almost year and a half now, since, they started with all these COVID precautions, just because, because I am in the much more high risk tier. I, for my safety, and I follow the government mandates, I'm trying to stay inside as much as possible.
Okay, anything further that you wish to present?
No, sir.
Okay, I will at this point turn it over to the Deputy Attorney General for further examination.
Mr. Robles, we all heard your explanation of your conduct there. What I don't understand is whether you agree that you committed any professional misconduct at all that resulted in your discipline.
I agree that I made the mistake of not working more closely with the owner to make sure the owner was aware of that. However, the misconduct, what they considered to be the misconduct was something, I have no choice but to stipulate and agree to it. But just so you know, there's another accountant there who also did outside work for other people there. So, and they would send work to another office, to another office. Basically, like I said, they were turning away the work. So while I understand, I understand why Gary got mad. I understand why the board, made the determination that it did. But I also feel personally, I also feel that the board the investigator didn't really take everything into proper account. But like I said, I stipulated to it to try to move it forward, to try to continue, with my career. Unfortunately, my health has basically prevented that, and because of COVID, it makes it that much harder to get out when you're not supposed to.
And Mr. Robles, for those clients that the firm turned away, you took that work and you serviced those clients, and didn't you file tax returns for them under the firm's name?
Some of them, yes, sir.
Did you have any business doing that when the firm had turned away those clients?
Like I said, it's something I had been doing. I'd been using the firm's software and doing that for 3 years. That was my third year doing so. The first year that I was there, there was a gentleman, a Mr. Wes Pierce. He was a lawyer and an EA, and he was usually one of the last people there, and he would see me there, doing this stuff and everything, and he was okay with it. And Mr. Pierce didn't return after the first year, but I would clock out and still be there, sometimes 20 minutes or so, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, doing these returns for other people. So and this was something that when they did their end of year audit review, they were aware that these people were there, and these people were there in their software, and they weren't paid. And as a matter of fact, when it came up, they said, "You did these, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Okay."
Are you practicing as a CPA right now?
No, sir. As I said before, I'm unemployed.
And in regards to the regulatory review course requirement, have you submitted a certificate of completion to the board?
I printed out that certificate and mailed it out long time ago.
All right. Well, I believe the board staff has indicated they haven't received it. Did you receive a second request to submit that?
I believe I got one. Not too long ago, and I reprinted it and mailed it in with my Q2 report.
When would that have been?
That was about 2 weeks ago.
And could you summarize your work history in accounting, what you did prior to or during your time with GFSI for any other employers or clients?
For accounting work, I worked for a gentleman in Oklahoma, which is J. Patrick Carter CPA. It was a small CPA office out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where I did my hours to get my license. And then from there, I moved to California. I worked with GFS seasonally. I also worked as an accounting manager at a property management company during the off season 1 year. I worked as the accounting manager at a small property management place, also during the off season. And for 4 years, from the time I left GFS up until 2019, I was the controller at a dietary supplement manufacturing place in Anaheim. And like I said, I left there due to my health, and I signed up with Robert Half Accounting, and they were able to get me 2 little jobs for a couple weeks, trying to help out with cleanup and stuff over the last 2 years. But it's been very, very sporadic.
All right. I'd like you to turn to page 10 of the exhibit. It's the page marked DR-PET 010.
Hold on 1 second. 010. Okay.
All right. And the question number 10 at the top of that page calls for someone seeking early termination of probation to explain why they have been rehabilitated in less time than was originally set for probation. The answer that you provided addressed the first half of number 10, but didn't answer that second half that's in parentheses about why you believe you've been rehabilitated in less time originally set for probation. Could you please tell the board how you believe you have been rehabilitated in less time than the 3 years?
Oh, well, as I said before, I don't think that I honestly don't think that I did anything that was absolutely wrong, because like I said, all this was done with my action was done with the knowledge of the accounting of the office manager. And like I said, it was done on their software and everything. But the one thing I have done, the one thing I have done to try to make sure this doesn't happen again is I have a hard line between the work, any work that I do and anything that I do outside. So case in point, at the and like I said, to me it's just a matter of a misunderstanding and a misunderstanding. But for example, at this last job that the Robert Half people were got for me, there was one client that needed some additional work done, and before I discussed anything with the client at all, I took it to the owner, and the company owner turned around and said, well, this girl used to work for me, why don't you send it over to her, and she can get this done and out of the way for them. That's what I did. She gave me the contact information. Then this is the person you should contact. I contacted her and the email and everything, and and that's like I said, I've learned to get that, to make sure that line is drawn right there. And as far as like rehabilitation and all that stuff is concerned, I try to help people. I try to make sure this stuff gets done. I don't to be honest, to be 100% honest, after I left GFS, there was one client there who I had been talking and texting to since the first, since pretty much the day after, I took care of him my first year that I was there, and I consider him to be a friend of mine, and he's like the only GFS customer that actually followed me. And like I said, I didn't solicit him at all. He's the one that, when I told him, yeah, I'm not going to be there anymore. He and I have met up, and he and I have met up a few times. But other than that, the line between personal and professional is so set in stone. I don't mix the two at all.
Mr. Robles, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Of course, sir.
I know. I'm sorry. This is Wilbert Bennett. I just wanted to interject here. I know you talk fast because you think fast, but the court reporter is trying to take down everything you say. So just please remember, try to talk slowly.
Yes, sir. Apologies.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, those are all the questions that I have for Mr. Robles.
Okay. At this point,
also, may I say something?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have no problem with the 3-year probation period standing. It's a year and a half in, anyways. My primary reason for filling out this form is to get either a reduction in penalty or some sort of extension or something like that. Because unfortunately, due to the financial situations that we're in, I can't pay, and you know, it's almost impossible to find a job when I'm, you know, when I'm stuck at home, you know, for the most part.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robles. At this point, I'm going to turn this over for a roll call for any possible questions by board members.
George Familet,
No questions.
Mary Jiang,
No question.
Carrie Ann Carroll Hines,
No questions.
Dan Jacobson,
No questions.
Luz Molina Lopez,
No questions.
Dee Dee Owens,
No questions.
Ariel Pay,
No questions.
Deirdre Robinson,
No questions.
Michael Savoy,
No questions.
Mark Silverman,
No questions.
Yin Tu,
No question.
Nancy Corrigan.
No questions.
All right.
Thank you. It looks like we can proceed, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Robles if he has anything by way of a closing statement in this matter.
Well, like I said, my primary goal was to get either a reduction or some sort of extension in for the payment terms due to the fact that I am unable to get, you know, employment because of the, you know, the crisis that's ongoing. I mean, here we are having this meeting here via Zoom, and unfortunately, I haven't, you know, been able to go get, you know, a job in you know, due in significant portion to this pandemic. And without that, it makes it very, very difficult to pay for the, you know, you know, the penalties and other things of that kind, which is why I'm requesting the reduction. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Robles. Mr. Dakar, closing statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, it is good to hear that Mr. Robles is not particularly focused on shortening the period of probation, because there would be major public protection concerns, given that he's violated a couple terms of his probation, and that he really has not been practicing during the period of probation, which really reduces the effectiveness of the monitoring. So certainly for public protection purposes, it would be good to make sure he serves the full term of probation. There also is cause for concern about his request for a reduction of the penalty at this time, because he didn't comply in a timely manner with the requirement for regulatory review. It's unclear if he ever submitted the certificate. He says he has, but there's no evidence of that in the record here. And he did have the 20 and 12 violation in 2019. As for an extension of time, I don't know that that's necessary, because he's unlikely to complete probation without compliance with all the terms. Without payment, the probation may continue of its own accord. And those are the things I wanted to point out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dakar. Anything further by way of closing, Mr. Robles, since you have the burden of proof?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Robles. That concludes anything further from board members?
Your Honor, I don't see that any board members have anything further. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robles, again, thank you very much. That concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The case is submitted and the record is closed. We are off the record in this matter, and the board will be deliberating in closed session. And thank you very much. And again, the board will be meeting in closed session.
And I have your page numbers, Your Honor.
And I do want to, oh yes, and I'd like to get from the court reporter, I'd like to get the page numbers for this one and also for the last one.
Yes, I got disconnected at the end.
Okay,
And if possible, can I ask a spelling or two?
yes,
Okay, why don't I do the times for you first to get that out of the way?
okay,
To this hearing now for, where are we? Mr. Robles, the ending time is 2:18 p.m. Number of pages is 40 pages approximately.
okay,
And then for Stephen Krell, I have an ending time of 11:47.
sorry, 11
AM.
what?
47, 47.
11:47 a.m.
Yeah, and I have an approximate page count of 50 pages.
50 pages. Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much, Mr. Court Reporter. Do we have any further reasons for the court reporter?
Except my spellings.
Oh, your spellings. Okay, yes.
There was a Franzella memo, just the spelling of Franzella. Franzella.
That's correct.
Thank you. Scott Fields, 2 T's in Scott, and is it Fields apostrophe S or just Field? There was a letter also. This is from the first one, Mr. Breard, Kevin Breard.
I think it's Fields.
Plural, okay. I'll go with whatever you say. And was it Andy Prentice? Prentiss, Prentice? Andy, Andy?
Yes, I think that was it.
Okay, I'll go with that. And there was something in Stephen Krell's. There was a licensed therapist, Eileen Bell, was it? Did anyone catch that? Eileen Bell, Bell? It's probably the question for the petitioner.
That sounds about right.
Does it? Okay.
You could always indicate phonetic or something, yeah.
Okay, and then there was something about Caldwell Laughlin's privilege statement. Caldwell Laughlin, is that possibly close?
That's probably close. You could indicate in phonetic, I suppose.
Phonetic, I think I'll have to if I can't find it, if I don't know for sure.
Unless someone heard it.
Yeah, there was Caldwell. I think it's the name of the firm was Caldwell Leslie, Leslie.
Caldwell, not Caldwell with an A?
Yeah, it's Caldwell.
Leslie, thank you, that helps. I can always Google it. And then there was the Education Council, was it CPEC? The licensing something or other? It was an acronym, CPEC. I think they said what it was. I could probably figure it out.
It's
I just wasn't sure.
The letter T as in Thomas instead of P. CTEC.
I'm glad I asked. CEC. And then there was a continuing education, Spidell. A spelling on Spidell, Spidell.
I don't remember.
It came up more than once, I believe, but
that may not be in the documentation.
Sure, I understand. Okay.
It may have been.
Okay.
You could always do phonetic. I think it's probably Speidell. I think it may have been in Mr. Krell's presentation.
It is spelled that way, Your Honor. We've used them for CPE in a long time ago, but yeah.
Is that correct?
Could you spell one more time?
Yeah, I think it's Speidell, perhaps.
Okay.
No, it's Spiedell.
Spiedell. Okay.
Did you say IED or IDELL?
No, I think it's Spidell.
T-E-L-L. Gotcha. Spidell.
Spidell.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, was it Judge Lance Ito that he referred to, as in from
Yeah.
Yes.
the OJ trial? Lance Ito,
Yes.
ITO?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And I got these other two, Sheffields and... Okay, that appears to be all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help. And am I excused, or did you need me to stick around?
Well, do the board members have any reason for the court reporter to remain? I just wanted to be sure that they don't have any questions that the court reporter can answer about testimony or whatever. I'm not hearing anything, so I guess.
I understand. I'm trying to respond. No,
Oh.
I believe that we're ready to go forward, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That'll be it, Mr. Patterson. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your help, everybody. Appreciate it.
Okay, you take care.
You do the same. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Gonna log off.
Okay, we're going into closed session. Mr. Durkar, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody. Good to see you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr.
This is legal. If we could take a short break, just to take a break, but also to allow moderator to prepare for closed session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Joffrey.
Thank you. I had one scheduled coming up, but if everybody's ready for a break, but then we'll
How much time do we need? About 15 minutes?
Yeah, about 15 minutes, and then we need to hammer through for the afternoon as best as we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is the moderator. I will now stop the recording.